info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com.
Thank you for tuning in to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Kelly and I'm here with Tony. We invite you to listen to our broadcasts both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday to Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. This site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.
And breaking news from the Springfield News-Leader. We have live updates as 6 U.S. troops are killed in a crash and the Iran leader is likely disfigured. 6 U.S. service members were killed when their refueling aircraft crashed after an accidental mid-air collision over western Iraq, officials said Friday, as the Iran war reached the 2-week mark with few signs of slowing down. The Thursday night crash raises the total number of United States war dead to 13. Officials initially believed that 2 members of the crew had survived. Confirmation of the new U.S. casualties came as Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth told reporters that Iranian Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei was wounded and likely disfigured in airstrikes on the war's first day, and the average U.S. nationwide gas price hit $3.64 a gallon, with prices topping $4 in some parts of the West. Following is a photo of a very crumbled building after the U.S. and Israel launched military strikes against Iran on February 28th. More than 1,200 civilians have been killed in Iran under punishing U.S. and Israeli airstrikes, according to Iranian human rights organizations. In Lebanon, more than 600 have died in widening Israeli attacks on the militant group Hezbollah, displacing hundreds of thousands of people as explosions rocked Beirut's densely packed city center. The war has surged oil prices and snarled global trade as Iran closed the critical Strait of Hormuz and showered Israel and the wealthy Gulf states with hundreds of explosive drones and ballistic missiles. You can follow along for live updates with USA Today.
A little closer to home from the Springfield Daily Citizen. Once behind schedule, Pipkin Middle School is now poised for early opening. Set to open in August for the new school year, teachers and students are excited to see what's inside, by Joe Hadsel. Sometime Friday, Pipkin Middle School's teachers will get their first look inside their new classrooms. Principal Dwayne Cox said those teachers and their students are ready to move now. We would move in over the weekend if we could. That's how excited we are, Cox said Tuesday. Our kids are in the same boat. They say that they would carry boxes over there. They are ready to go now and fired up. 2 new Springfield public schools middle schools will open for the students in the 2026-27 school year. Reed Academy and Pipkin were 2 major projects promised in a $220 million bond election that voters overwhelmingly approved in 2023. The upgrade is particularly needed for Pipkin. Its current home at 1215 Boonville Avenue is a 100-year-old building that shows every bit of its age. Even if it were in perfect condition, its small halls, restrictive layout, and lack of modern features places it at the top of a list of the district's roughest buildings. Next year, students will move into a new school with plenty of space, measuring at about 114,750 square feet. Pipkin will offer plenty of room for about 550 students across 25 classrooms, 3 science labs, 2 collaboration spaces, and a gymnasium and a combination cafeteria and auditorium. Most notable are the wide halls, built to allow easy switches between classes. The new school, being built only a few blocks away at Campbell Avenue and Division Street, also features plenty of outdoor space. Its 8.6-acre property will leave room for an athletic center similar to the one at Jarrett Middle School. But the most remarkable thing about the new building could be the speed at which it has been built. The district chose a builder who could finish the job in about 480 days. Sean Dilday, Executive Director of Operations for SPS, has years of experience building schools for the district. He said he's never seen a construction process like Pipkin's. He visited the school often to check on the construction and ensure quality. On March 6th, the building was filled with at least 40 construction workers when Dilday visited. That number, while average for other sites, is low for Pipkin. There's 100 to 125, that's our daily average, Dilday said. That's normal on this project, but not on every project. They have all kinds of different trades. We're getting tile here, and there are people installing cabinets downstairs. The fast construction is more than a course correction. It's an early arrival. When school officials first proposed building a new school, they projected a completion date of 2027, but a struggle to find a place to build the school threatened to push that project back even farther. Months before the April 2023 election, district officials thought Nichols Park would be the best option, but federal regulations governing park lands upended that plan. After choosing, then backing away from a site on East Pythian Street, close to Highway 65, the district finally reached an agreement with the General Council of the Assemblies of God to purchase land at Campbell and Division. After that purchase, cards kept falling in the district's favor. Designs of the school for the Pythian site didn't need much modification from the architects. Like Reed, construction bids came in under budget. A construction bid was chosen in March of 2025, about a year after a groundbreaking was held for Reed. Completion was bumped up to winter holiday of the 2026-27 school year. A promised delivery time was one of the main reasons Crossland Construction, based in Columbus, Kansas, was chosen. Crossland's bid of $37,595,200 was not the lowest bid, but they could complete the project in a shorter window of time, about 480 days. Springfield's famously fickle weather provided a higher number of workable construction days, Dilday said, leading to fewer pauses in the work. Dilday said Pipkin is on track to open for the start of the next school year instead of at holiday break. Crossland's speed comes from meticulous scheduling, Dilday said. The contractor also monitors the progress of each of their subcontractors. Crossland is very detailed on their work schedules, so they are stacking trades. When sheetrock is finished, they are mudding and taping. There is no lag time, no downtime between their subcontractors. Their pace is very aggressive, but by keeping a detailed schedule, that's how they have progressed this building, said Dilday. Dilday said that Crossland's secret to this speed involves no shortcuts on construction quality. Dilday and his team, as well as representatives of the district's engineers and architects, have been making regular inspections of the building to ensure it is built well. We're ensuring that we have a very well-built building that meets all of the specifications, Dilday said. We have teams here on a regular basis, our architectural firms, engineering firms, our staff. We have a project manager dedicated to this building. We are continuously monitoring, and so is Crossland, that they are making sure that their subcontractors move in, they are putting in a quality product. The quicker completion has given the district options for adding building projects to the $220 million bond known as Proposition S. It's also a game changer for Cox and his staff, he said. A mid-year move is excruciating for both students and teachers, while a summer move is much easier and deliberate. Teachers have already been working on decluttering and streamlining. My teachers are extremely excited that we are doing it over the summer because we get to open the school year there, Cox said, versus having to do it over a Christmas break or a spring break that is difficult. This allows for more strategic planning and preparation. Another reason teachers are excited for how they will get to see some of their ideas brought to life. Cox and his staff of about 50 were involved in the design process as well. As for students, Cox said when construction started, everyone thought at the time that only its current 6th graders would get to enjoy a full year inside the new school. The fast construction means that the school's 6th and 7th graders will get to experience the new building. Cox said this year's 8th graders are getting extra special treatment because they will miss out. Because the schools are so close together, students have been able to watch construction happen over the last year. Cox regularly shares progress pictures, and many students walk or drive by it every school day. It sparks excitement, Cox said. We have been having a lot of conversations with our kids about how we are going to treat our new building and how we are going to take care of it. Joe Hadsell is the education reporter for the Springfield Daily Citizen. He has more than 2 decades of experience reporting in the Ozarks with the Joplin Globe, Christian County Headliner News, and 417 Magazine. You can contact him at 417-837-3671 or jhadsall@sgfcitizen.org.
And did you get a letter in the mail about Springfield rezoning? Here's what it means. Marta Meets with the Springfield News-Leader says that Springfield is adopting a new zoning map as it aligns its development rules with the goals of the Forward SGF Comprehensive Plan. It's a big undertaking, the first comprehensive update since 1995. But with an emphasis on encouraging more diversified housing, the new zoning map has meant some property owners may see their property rezoned. The majority of parcels in Springfield, roughly 70%, will retain their existing zoning, seeing a simple translation from the current zoning district to its counterpart in the new development code. The new code condenses 25 zoning districts into 14, and there is only one truly new district for parks and green space. With an effort underway to encourage more diversified housing development, some properties, 3,775 with 2,746 different owners, to be exact, recently have received notification that their land zoned for single-family use is being rezoned for low-density missing middle housing. Every landowner in the city received an earlier letter of notification of rezoning, though these were more generally worded and related to the overall transition of the new zoning map. So what does the low-density mixed neighborhood rezoning mean? Well, the nearly 3,800 properties receiving notice of rezoning are all in center city neighborhoods, identified through several neighborhood workshops throughout the summer. The rezoning would change single-family residence zoning to R-MX1, a low-density mixed neighborhood zoning district that would allow the development of multi-unit homes with up to 4 units, a maximum of 6 townhouses on large lots, as well as accessory dwelling units. Single-family homes would still be allowed. Small format homes and a maximum of 8 townhomes on smaller lots could be allowed conditionally. This is described as missing middle housing, housing that the city is in need of that falls between single-family homes and large apartment complexes. There has been an extensive neighborhood and public input process through the past year in identifying lots and creating the new map. If a property is rezoned, it does not require the property owner to do anything differently. Their single-family home can remain indefinitely. The rezoning is simply seen as a way to provide future opportunity for different housing types to be built there in the future. An interactive map showing proposed changes to zoning districts can be found on www.forwardsgf.com/remap. The current R-TH, or Townhouse zoning district, is automatically being translated into the R-MX1 district under the new code, regardless of where the property is located in the city. So how do you request to be removed from rezoning? If a parcel was identified and included in the R-MX1 rezoning, but the homeowner wishes to retain their single-family zoning, they can request to be removed from the rezoning efforts. That can be done by contacting city staff at 417-864-1300 or by email at forwardsgf@springfieldmo.gov. Nearby residents still retain the same protest rights as with any other rezoning case, with the ability to make public comments and gather protest petitions. After the remapping is complete, property owners will have 90 days to appeal and can request to be removed from rezoning or to be considered to be, quote, upzoned. The appeal process will essentially be a regular rezoning request, including all the required notifications, neighborhood meetings, and public hearings, simply provided to the owners for free. And what happens next? Springfield Planning and Zoning Commission will take up the matter of rezoning single-family homes identified for mixed neighborhood housing at its March 26th meeting at 6:30 p.m. Springfield Regional Police and Fire Training Center at 2620 West Battlefield Road. That meeting will include a public comment portion. Information and meeting agendas can be found on the city's website. However, after a workshop on Tuesday, March 10th, P&Z was leaning toward a more tempered version of the rezonings that would scale back the number of lots identified to just over 1,000, focusing only on parcels that are along streets classified as collectors or higher. If the commission recommends moving forward with this alternative, those previously identified for rezoning but not rezoned would still have 90 days to appeal and be rezoned to R-MX1. However, property owners would not be notified after the fact whether their property was rezoned or not. After the P&Z meeting, the rezonings will still have to go to Springfield City Council for a public hearing and a final vote.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, man accused of exposing himself to 4 different women working at Republic businesses. An Aurora man is facing multiple misdemeanor charges after he allegedly exposed his genitals to 4 different women while the women were working at various establishments in Republic. Braden L. Kalnicki, born in 1998, is charged with 4 counts of first-degree sexual misconduct for incidents alleged to have occurred between June 2025 and March 2026. According to the probable cause statement, one of the victims told Republic Police that she was working a cash register when the suspect was paying for a Monster energy drink. When she turned to give the suspect his change, which they were delivering food to a man in a small black car. As they approached, the women could see the suspect was masturbating. Republic Police used surveillance videos to identify Kalnicki as the suspect. When he was shown surveillance video from the incident in the gas station, Kalnicki allegedly denied intentionally exposing himself to the employee. In a request for a warrant, a Greene County prosecutor described Kalnicki as a risk to any female in the community. The defendant's pattern of behavior is disturbing and continuing. During the last incident, the defendant exposed himself inside a gas station, which was captured on surveillance video. The prosecutor wrote in part, "The defendant's behavior is escalating, and he has shown that he will not stop exposing himself to women." Online court records show a warrant was served on Thursday, March 12th, and Kalnicki was released on a $5,000 bond. He does not have an attorney listed as representing him. Jackie Rewald is a reporter at the Springfield Daily Citizen. She covers public safety, the courts, homelessness, domestic violence, and other social issues. Her office line is 417-837-3659.
Yeah, and some of the holidays we're celebrating today include Donald Duck Day, Ken Day, and that is referring to the Ken doll of the Barbie franchise, Earmuff Day, National Preschoolers Day, and National Open an Umbrella Indoors Day. And speaking of inclement weather, when is tornado season in Missouri this year? Let's check the 2026 forecast. Ahmed Jawadi with the Springfield News-Leader says that tornado watches and warnings have already been issued this year as severe weather battered communities across the United States. The United Weather Service in Springfield confirmed that a tornado with 80-mile-per-hour winds briefly touched down near Iantha, Missouri on March 6th, marking what may be the first tornado in the state in 2026. No injuries were reported, but the tornado did cause significant damage to a barn, with roofing materials scattered more than a mile away. Here's what to know about Missouri's tornado season. Peak tornado season in Missouri runs between April and June, according to the National Weather Service. However, heavy rain and temperature swings in March can produce severe thunderstorms that can form tornadoes. On average, the state experiences just more than 30 tornadoes a year, with nearly half of them occurring in April and May, according to the Missouri Climate Center. Forecasters at AccuWeather expect a similar pattern this year, with tornado season peaking between March and May. April could see severe weather concentrated along the Mississippi River and stretching into southwest Missouri. So what do most tornadoes in Missouri hit? Well, southwest Missouri has historically experienced the most tornadoes, followed by southeastern Missouri, according to data from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And what are the deadliest Missouri tornadoes? Missouri accounts for 6 of the 30 deadliest tornadoes in U.S. history, according to the Missouri State Emergency Management Agency. These include Joplin, May 22, 2011, St. Louis, September 29, 1927, Poplar Bluff, May 9, 1927, Tri-State, March 18, 1925, St. Louis, May 27, 1896, and Marshfield, April 18, 1880. And here are some tornado safety tips for you to know. There isn't much you can do to prevent property damage from a tornado, but there are several precautions you can take to help avoid injuries if a tornado touches down near you. If you can't stay at home, make plans to go to a public shelter. Go to a safe shelter immediately, such as a safe room, basement, storm cellar, or a small interior room on the lowest level of a sturdy building. Stay away from windows, doors, and outside walls. Do not go under an overpass or bridge. You're safer in a low, flat location. Watch out for flying debris that can cause injury or death, and use your arms to protect your head and neck.
From the Springfield News-Leader, apartment building with nearly 200 units proposed by Medical Mile. Marta Mees. An apartment building with almost 200 units near the Medical Mile in South Springfield is being pitched as a way to provide workforce housing near large employers. At a Springfield Planning and Zoning Commission meeting Thursday, March 12th, nearby residents shared concerns about increased traffic volumes and requested a scaled-down version of the proposal. As proposed, the project, dubbed the Reserve at Medical Mile, would include a 4-story apartment building and related amenities. Before developers can proceed, they need the Commission and City Council to approve the rezoning of about 7.4 acres at 3302 South Maryland Avenue, west of National Avenue near Walnut Lawn Street, into a planned development, a unique zoning district that adds additional requirements and includes a site plan the developer must stick to. The property, which currently includes a parking lot, is just west of Mercy Medical Clinics on South National and just north of the Cox Health Medical Campus and Meyer Orthopedic and Surgical Hospital. The developers anticipate tenants would largely consist of medical employees. Despite the neighbor opposition, P&Z ultimately recommended approval of the rezoning 5-2, with Commissioners Eric Pauley and David Jacquez in opposed. Commissioners Randall Doning and Lane Hutton were absent. What is proposed? The building is planned to include 198 units, although that number could increase to as many as 202. According to the site plan, the apartment building in the shape of a U would consist primarily of 1-bedroom units along with some 2-bed, 2-bath, and 3-bed, 2-bath units. The development would include a total of 313 parking spaces, with 36 of those enclosed in garages. The proposal includes amenities such as a dog park, a pool, and a community and fitness space. More than half of the site would be preserved for green space. A portion of the property in question was already zoned for a planned development dating back to 1990 that spanned the entire 22 acres that now houses Mercy Medical Buildings. But the new zoning district includes several changes to what was allowed before. Among those is an increase to the density and height of the apartment building. The developer is proposing a total of 198 dwelling units with a maximum allowance of 202 units in a 4-story building. The previous zoning only allows a 2-story building. Nathan Reynolds, a realtor and developer of the Silverleaf Apartments on Republic Road, is one of the developers pursuing the apartments. He said that under the current zoning, a 4-story medical building is allowed and multifamily housing is already allowed, so the rezoning would simply combine the two. At the end of the day, we live here, our families live here, Reynolds said. We are invested in doing the right thing the right way and turning an unutilized site for years into quality housing for those who are tirelessly serving Springfield in that area on the Medical Mile. The property up for rezoning also includes a sliver of land on the west side of Maryland Avenue that backs up to homes. As part of buffering the development, the developers would install a 6-foot tall wooden privacy fence and retain current trees and plant additional ones. Brian Kubik with BKD Design Collective, architect on the development, said the developer is proposing to add gates to the privacy fence to provide access for each home that backs up to Maryland. Neighbors worry about increased traffic. A consistent concern about the apartment development was an increase in the daily traffic volumes on Walnut Lawn and Maryland. The development is situated on the northeast corner of where the two streets intersect at a roundabout. While the rezoning would require a traffic impact study, it would only occur at the time of the development. As nearby residents requested, Jacquez made comments that he too would like to see a traffic study done prior to the rezoning and development to understand possible impacts better ahead of approval. Resident Christopher Brown pointed to potential impacts on emergency vehicle response time as well if the streets near the hospital see more congestion. The Rotary is already a difficult intersection. It's an unusual traffic structure for Springfield, he said. A different traffic structure might require a different use of land, so I think it's important to deal with it intelligently in advance rather than waiting. Reynolds noted that a medical building already allowed under the current zoning would generate far more traffic than a residential development, he said, because of the proximity of the apartments to medical offices and the hospital. Congestion would be reduced if medical employees no longer needed to commute to work. While Pauley disagreed with this point, Commissioner Dan Scott believed it was a fair point to make. With a medical office, you're likely to have scheduled appointments on a 15-minute cycle versus someone coming and going once or twice a day out to a job, Scott said. Alongside traffic concerns, nearby residents also voiced concern about the building height being increased to 4 stories, intruding on a nearby homeowner's privacy and not being an adequate step down in height and density as the Ford SGF Comprehensive Plan advises. Arlene Criswell, a Meadow High East resident, requested the height be scaled back to 3 stories. Pauley said he also favored reducing the height. City Senior Planner Daniel Neal noted that the buildings are in the area very significantly in their height, with some being 5 stories high while others remain at 2 stories, along with being set back from residential properties at different distances. Criswell noted none were as high as the proposed apartments in the immediate area next to the neighborhood. In communications with neighbors ahead of the Thursday meeting, Kubik indicated the developers proposed to spend $30 million to $40 million to create the workforce housing Springfield is in need of, according to city documents. The rezoning case will now head to Springfield City Council for another public hearing on Monday, April the 6th, with a final vote expected at a subsequent meeting. Marta Mies covers local government at the News-Leader. If you have feedback, tips, or story ideas, you can contact her at mmieze@news-leader.com.
And we want to wish a happy birthday to some celebrities celebrating today. First up, we have rapper Jack Harlow, who turns 28 today. We have Canadian actor Noel Fisher, best known for his roles in Breaking Dawn Part 2 and Shameless. He turns 42 today. American rapper and actor Common, who you might have seen in Selma, John Wick Chapter 2, or my personal favorite, Silo, turns 54 today. And finally, American actor William H. Macy, also from Shameless, Fargo, and Jurassic Park, turns 76 today. And speaking of the theater, Springfield artist Casey Sorrell helped create the historically accurate set for the movie Sinners. Jeff Kessinger from the Springfield Daily Citizen says that a friendship formed inside a downtown Springfield cupcake shop in 2011 set Casey Sorrell on a journey that eventually led to her working on the most nominated film in Academy Award history. Sorrell was a graphic designer in the art department for the horror film Sinners, produced, written, and directed by Ryan Coogler. Her work helped ground the movie in 1932 in the Mississippi Delta. Sinners is nominated for 16 honors at the 98th Academy Awards, which are set for March 15th, ranging from Best Picture and Best Director down to Best Original Song and Best Casting. It was also nominated for Best Production Design, with Hannah Beechler leading the art department and working closely with art director Timotheus Davis and set decorator Monique Champagne. That's the team Sorrell was a part of. Ryan Coogler and Hannah Beechler and Monique Champagne are so committed to period historical accuracy that we would look for historically accurate details on product packaging from the 1910s and the 1920s so that we could then recreate it ourselves, Sorrell said. Then we would put it on things that we would find and then stock all of those shelves in the grocery store. So everything you see on the walls or on the shelves, street signage, things like that, all of that's handmade. Sorrell didn't necessarily set out to work in the film industry. She moved to Chicago to attend art school, and mid-COVID, she was the assistant manager of a well-known ice cream shop in Wrigleyville. But she felt the urge to move to New Orleans, something was calling her. She is, after all, originally from the Gulf Coast. That's when Hannah Mendelsohn literally called. The two of them worked together at the Cup a decade earlier. She's an amazing person, and she's been working in the film industry now for 15 years, Sorrell said. She was working on a show in New Orleans called Night Watch, which follows EMTs around. She called and said, "Hey, we need production assistants." It's kind of a weird time to get anybody to work on a show where you follow EMTs into sick people's houses and respond to calls like that. So do you want the job? Sorrell immediately quit the ice cream shop. After a brief stay in Springfield, she arrived in New Orleans at 10 p.m. on New Year's Eve under a full moon. She started working on Night Watch the next week. The first few weeks on the job were film industry memorized the streets before I would get to work every night, so I wouldn't go the wrong way. It was literally a trial by fire. After 2 months with Night Watch, she moved on to a PA position on a Netflix film called Tall Girl 2. There, Sorrell told another little white lie that turned out okay. Rachel Geiger, who's an incredible coordinator in the industry, saw my application and noticed that I had experience in art, prop making, and things like that, Sorrell said. So she hired me, and they were like, "Do you know how to do origami?" And I said, "Yeah, I do not know how to do origami." Thankfully, YouTube videos came in clutch, and Sorrell spent her time helping create a set that looked like an arts high school. They had me out there driving back and forth to high schools to hang up art and paint giant mural things, and it was the coolest thing that had ever happened to me in my life, Sorrell said. I had never ever felt before that I fit somewhere so perfectly, because a lot of the time it feels like those little things that you're really good at and capable of as an artist are not always appreciated, and you rarely find a day job that supports those things. Film work is so perfectly suited to weirdo artists who are really good at random shit, like figuring out how to make origami and painting a giant whale on a wall in 20 minutes, or just building random things out of foam core that you never thought you would need. It's just an amazing industry. Next for Sorrell was a production assistant job on the AMC series Interview with the Vampire. She said PA work involves taking care of anything that anybody else needs you to do. The joke is that PA stands for practically anything. So you're delivering a lot of stuff and picking up a lot of stuff, and if you're really lucky, you get to make stuff, Sorrell said. And eventually, if you're just annoying and you stick around long enough, they'll let you do other things. I just started bringing my iPad to work every day and making sure that people saw me drawing on it. Oh, I just happened to be drawing on my iPad here when you walked around the corner. Until finally someone was like, okay, do you want to make some graphics for us? Sorrell quickly said yes. Her workload increased until they promoted her to graphic artist, which, once again, was the coolest thing ever. It helped train her skills in researching and creating period-appropriate set pieces. Then came the Writers Guild of America strike in 2023. Film work dried up, and Sorrell returned to a day-to-day job to pay the bills. That's when Champagne reached out to see if she'd come work on Sinners. Scared of losing reliable income, she turned it down. And then my friend Erin, who is an incredibly talented illustrator and graphic designer, was like, we need to get this workload done in a certain amount of time. I like working with you. I know your ability. Will you please come on this project and help me? This time, Sorrell said yes. If I'm being asked twice, obviously the universe is just do this, she said. And I've never been more thankful that I took a gig than this gig, because not only did it end up being the incredible work that it is, but it was also such an amazing opportunity, and I got to work with so many talented people. Sorrell's work on Sinners included sign painting, creating tiny labels for products that would appear on camera, and more. It was a lot of work to set the historically accurate scene. I spent about 6 hours one day just recreating the label on like a prescription box of Tums or something, whatever the equivalent to Tums would be in 1917, and hand digitizing that whole thing, she said. I was following this guy who had dug up a bunch of glass bottles in his backyard because he was doing this restoration project, and I was like, can I get some of those glass bottles? That's just the type of crazy stuff that you would be doing. As part of the art department, she was dialed into her work and didn't always have a sense of how things were going on set. She did, however, get to visit the set and see Annie's cabin as it was being built for the film. That's when she got the sense this movie was going to be a big deal. I knew Ryan Coogler is an amazing creator, and his body of work speaks for itself, but we only reviewed some of the pages, and not all at the same time, she said. It was like, here's what you need to know to make this thing, but we're not going to give you everything. And so at first, we were just like, vampires? And they're fighting the KKK? But we didn't know much. We were just like, I'm sure that this is all going to come together. And it did, in the craziest way possible. When the Oscars begin at 7 p.m. Sunday on ABC, Sorrell will be a little nervous. A win for Best Production Design would put her over the moon. She'll be watching at Alamo Drafthouse's red carpet event hosted by the Southwest Missouri Film Office. That whole team is so wonderful, and I've worked with so many of them on other projects as well, and they're just so deserving of this recognition, she said. I can't think of a cooler, more talented group of people, almost all women. They're creative powerhouses who are constantly fighting for amazing causes and supporting each other and other people and lifting people up whenever they can and giving them opportunities. Seeing them recognized would be huge. Even if Sorrell won't end up with an Oscar statue of her own, she will carry fond memories of being part of Sinners. She remembers what it was like for movies to resonate with and inspire her, and she hopes this film will do the same for others. There was an interview Ryan Coogler gave where he talked about seeing The Luck of the Irish on the Disney Channel at 14 years old, and that being one of the things that planted a seed, Sorrell said. He became very interested in the relationship between Irish people and Black people and the intersection of that music, and Sinners is that for somebody. For the next Ryan Coogler, that's going to be this film. And I've heard so many people talk about this film in a way that has just blown open their idea of what art and horror can be, and what that means, and the power that thrillers and horror have to make a meaningful impact and to say a lot about what's going on in the world.
From the Springfield News-Leader, let's go through the local obituaries. Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. Robert E. Israel, 84, passed away March 8th, 2026. Arrangements provided by Gorman Sharp Funeral Home. Joe McDonald, 91, Joe Darrell McDonald, son of Edwin and Maxine McDonald, was born January 19, 1935 in Springfield, Missouri, and entered his heavenly home on March 10, 2026 at the age of 91. Ronald Lee Uzel, Stafford, Missouri, 69, passed away March the 4th. Arrangements provided by Midwest Cremation and Funeral Services. From Tuesday, March 10th, Billy David Crane passed away February 27th, 2026, surrounded by loved ones after a courageous battle with cancer. Charles Edel, 91, passed away March 9th, 2026. Arrangements provided by Gorman Sharp Funeral Home. Barbara Lee Fisher, 93, of Springfield, Missouri, passed away March 7th, 2026. Barbara Squires of Springfield, Missouri, 90, passed away March 8th, 2026. Arrangements provided by Gorman Sharp Funeral Home. From Saturday, March the 7th, David Nelson Bowers, 76, of Buckeye Lake, Ohio, passed away peacefully on March the 4th, 2026. From Thursday, March the 5th, Dr. Yung Huang, MD, passed away February 27th at age 90. Rayanne Sutter, age 63, of Springfield, Missouri, passed away suddenly on February 6, 2026. Now from the Springfield Business Journal. Community Partnerships of the Ozarks seeks employers to partner for a child care pilot. Claudette Riley, reporter. Community Partnership of the Ozarks Incorporated put out a call for employers willing to partner on a new approach to paying for child care. CPO serves as the local intermediary for Child Care Works, a pilot program in Missouri aimed at making child care more affordable for working parents. We would like to hear from employers and child care providers, said Amanda Coleman, Vice President of Early Childhood and Family Development for CPO. Through the program, the employer, the employee, and the state split the cost of child care. The employer would be agreeing to offer this as a benefit to the employee who is eligible. State funding has been allocated to support the program for this year and next year as it stands right now in the budget, Coleman said. The third portion would be paid for by the family. The pilot is supported by $2.5 million in state funding. Local support to put the program in place includes funding from Community Foundation of the Ozarks Incorporated. Missouri launched Child Care Works in November, but it is not yet widely available. Coleman said Springfield has been planning for a couple of years to prepare for the pilot. Coleman said access to child care is directly connected to workforce stability and economic growth. Families with children aged 12 and under who cannot otherwise access state-subsidized child care with household incomes between 185% and 450% of the federal poverty level are eligible for the pilot program. For example, income level for a family of four must be above $61,050 and below $148,500 to qualify. Eligible child care programs must be licensed and approved to accept the state subsidy. The pilot is separate from the Missouri Child Care Subsidy Program administered through the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education Office of Childhood. CPO is reaching out to employees who might be interested in participating. It will help them with recruitment and retention and productivity, Coleman said. She said the pilot program was approved to serve 50 Springfield area children during the first year. If funding is renewed, CPO hopes the program will grow to serve 150 children by the third year. We have a couple of employers that we're working with. We're just working through identifying the employees that are eligible for the program, she said. Hopefully we'll have that completed and we'll start serving families in April.
And there was a suspect in a Michigan synagogue attack dead and a security guard injured. We have this story from yesterday from Christopher Kahn and Michael Loria with USA Today and Springfield News-Leader. A man is dead in Michigan after ramming a vehicle into one of the nation's biggest synagogues that also houses an early childhood center, according to local officials. The suspect drove into Temple, Israel in West Bloomfield Township outside Detroit, Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard said. Synagogue security staff opened fire on the vehicle and it ignited. The police said Temple security, quote, neutralized the threat. Department of Homeland Security officials identified the suspect as Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, a 41-year-old naturalized U.S. citizen who was born in Lebanon. Hundreds in the country, which hosts major Iran-ally Hezbollah, have died under Israeli bombardments amid the war on Iran. Authorities called the attack a targeted act of violence against the Jewish community and said, obviously, what happens around the world sometimes affects us. Temple leaders confirmed no synagogue members were killed in the attack, and authorities successfully evacuated the Temple school. As you have no doubt heard, Temple Israel was the victim of a terrorist gunman who was confronted and neutralized by our security personnel who are truly heroes, synagogue staff said in a statement. Our teachers followed their training and kept the children safe and calm. The head of synagogue security was struck by the suspect's vehicle and was hospitalized, but is expected to recover, Bouchard said. No other injuries were reported. Everyone is safe, synagogue staff said in the statement. All 140 students in our Susan and Harold Loss Early Childhood Center, our amazing staff, our courageous teachers, and our heroic security personnel are all accounted for and safe. According to Bouchard, there is no active threat to the community, and local police lifted a shelter-in-place advisory around 3 p.m. local time. The attack on the suburban Detroit Jewish House of Worship comes amid heightened global tensions as a result of the U.S.-Israel war with Iran. President Donald Trump and ally Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu launched strikes on February 28 that killed the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the longtime head of Iran's theocratic regime. Over the course of nearly 2 weeks of fighting, over 1,000 people have been killed in Iran and hundreds throughout the Middle East as the U.S. and Israel trade strikes with Iran and its allies. In the immediate aftermath of the attack, parents rushed to the scene to look for their children who had been attending school at the temple. I'm just trying to get to my baby, said one mother to an officer on scene, her eyes red and voice frantic. The officer let her through. 3 school buses full of children were safely escorted by police to safety at a nearby Shenandoah Country Club. The children held hands with one another and their teachers. I got you, buddy, one teacher told the child. More than 100 adults and children, toddlers in their parents' arms and on their shoulders, were also seen walking away from Temple Israel at about 3:30 p.m. local time. Children reached out to touch the fire trucks present. Some parents and children laughed, and a pair of parents even high-fived. Some parents cried, too. So what do we know about the suspect? A Department of Homeland Security spokesperson said Ghazali was born in Lebanon on January 4, 1985. The 41-year-old became a naturalized U.S. citizen on February 5, 2016, in the final weeks of the Obama administration. Homeland Security said Ghazali entered the U.S. in 2011 on an immigrant visa as the spouse of an American citizen. And what happened in the attack? Well, first responders were called to the scene of the attack at about 12:20 p.m., West Bloomfield Police Department Chief Dale Young said in an evening news conference Thursday. Authorities said the suspect rammed his vehicle through the building into a synagogue hallway where security staff fired on him. Young said Temple security firing on the suspect, quote, neutralized the threat. The suspect's vehicle caught fire and around 30 law enforcement officers were hospitalized for smoke inhalation, Bouchard said. Video from the scene shows smoke billowing from the building. According to authorities, over 100 federal agents are investigating. Among them are bomb and cell phone technicians. FBI Detroit Special Agent in Charge, Jennifer Runyon, said bomb-sniffing dogs were at the scene. And what do we know about the motive? Authorities declined to reveal evidence related to the investigation, including what they know about the suspect and what prompted the attack. Obviously, it's a hateful, terrible thing, but what drove this person into action, that has to be determined by the investigation, Bouchard told reporters. But authorities confirmed a few details. Runyon called the attack a, quote, targeted act of violence against the Jewish community. Bouchard suggested the attack came in response to global affairs. Obviously, what happens around the world sometimes affects us. And where did the attack happen? Well, it happened at Temple Israel, a synagogue about 25 miles northwest of Detroit that describes itself as, quote, the nation's largest Reform synagogue with more than 12,000 congregants. It dates back to 1941, according to its website. In January, the FBI led an active shooter training with Temple Israel's clergy and staff members, according to a post on X from the Bureau's Detroit field office. The training allowed staff and clergy to, quote, practice the decision-making process of the run, hide, fight principles and take necessary actions for survival, the post said. President Donald Trump addressed the shooting during an unrelated news conference. I want to send our love to the Michigan Jewish community and all of the people in Detroit area following the attack on the Jewish synagogue early today, Trump said at a Women's History Month event. I've been briefed, fully briefed, and it's a terrible thing, but it goes on. We're going to be right down to the bottom of it. It's absolutely incredible that things like this happen. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, in a statement, thanked law enforcement for their swift action. This is heartbreaking, she said. Michigan's Jewish community should be able to live and practice their faith in peace. Anti-Semitism and violence have no place in Michigan.
We are currently broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store situated at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. For additional information about our store, please visit our official website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. To explore more of our video content, including movie reviews with Matt and Meredith, adaptive technology training videos, and other informative materials, please visit our YouTube channel by searching for Blind Community Thrift Store. Our organization is dedicated to supporting the blind community through various initiatives, and our online platform serve as valuable resources for community engagement and education. Now, today's weather forecast comes from OzarksFirst.com. Matt Hefner. When the clock sprang forward, you may have lost an hour of sleep, but we gained something pretty nice in return. 7 p.m. sunsets. And what a day to welcome it. Clear skies help temperatures climb to nearly 70 degrees. If you're a fan of warmer weather, I've got more good news. Tomorrow looks to be another step up on the thermometer. Gusty southerly winds will help temperatures climb into the upper 70s, with a few spots potentially reaching 80 degrees. There may be a few clouds early in the morning, but sunshine should dominate the sky by the afternoon. Tuesday gets off to a similarly warm start, but it won't finish that way. Another round of storms is expected to move in. Thunderstorms could develop by Tuesday evening and may bring... Make sure I've got the right date here. This is not the right date. I thought that sounded kind of weird. Today's forecast. Here it is. Sunday brings storms, brutal cold, and even snow by Tom Schmidt. This morning is much warmer than yesterday. No freezing temperatures in the Ozarks. Today will turn into a nice day in the 60s and 70s. Saturday looks nice too. Sunday, however, is a different story. A powerful cold front will dramatically drive temperatures down on Sunday afternoon. We'll also get a round of scattered rain and thunderstorms in the front, followed by a chance for snow flurries Sunday night. The big story is the sudden change happening on Sunday. This means it's all the more important to enjoy whatever time you have off on Friday and Saturday. Sunday will begin spring-like and end like the dead of winter. A blast of cold air with an Arctic cold front will bring a round of rain and thunderstorms to the Ozarks, especially east of Highway 65. There's a risk for some thunderstorms to become strong to severe east of Springfield. Following the thunderstorms, cold air will wrap in on the backside of the storm system, and we'll be dealing with a light snow occasionally Sunday evening into Sunday night. It's obviously much too warm for there to be any travel impacts or accumulations, but this will be a dramatic change. Wind chills on Monday morning will likely be near zero, believe it or not. This will be a shock to the system, and you'll need to dress warmly for it. Monday afternoon will be in the mid-30s, with some spots trapped to below freezing. The wind chills on Monday will be in the low 20s to upper teens. It's another cold night on Monday before we gradually get warmer on Tuesday. Warmer weather continues to blow in as high pressure builds over our southwest. This will usher in 70s and even 80s for the middle to the end of next week.
And we see how much new Missouri unemployment claims increased last week. From staff reports with the Springfield News-Leader, initial filings for unemployment benefits in Missouri rose last week compared with the week prior, the U.S. Department of Labor said Thursday. New jobless claims, a proxy for layoffs, increased to 6,138 in the week ending March 7th, up from 2,337 the week before, the Labor Department said. U.S. unemployment claims dropped to 213,000 last week, down 1,000 claims from 214,000 the week prior on a seasonally adjusted basis. Missouri saw the largest percentage increase in weekly claims, with claims jumping by 162.6%. Vermont, meanwhile, saw the largest percentage drop in new claims, with claims dropping by 60.1%. And in other local business news, Springfield's second Target opens at Sunshine and West Bypass. The grand opening still set for March 15th. Jack McGee with the Springfield Daily Citizen says that Target shoppers now have 2 locations to choose from in Springfield. Springfield's second Target store at 3444 West Sunshine Street opened on Tuesday, March 10th, according to a Facebook post from Jared Commercial Management. According to a Target representative, a soft opening is underway. The official grand opening will take place this Sunday, March 15th, as originally planned. Situated at the southwest corner of Sunshine Street and West Bypass, the 148,000 square foot retail store will feature an expanded selection of meat, dairy, fruit, and produce. It will also include an Apple at Target shop, in-shop, a CVS pharmacy, and a Starbucks. The store will have about 180 employees and will be open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Target is part of the broader Sunshine Town Center development, which also features a new Wendy's, Olive Garden, and Blue Current Credit Union. A 31,955 square foot shopping center with spaces for 6 additional businesses remains under construction on the site. Sunshine Town Center was developed by Springfield West Partners, LLC, led by St. Louis-based developer Thomas Walker and Curtis Jared, president and CEO of Jared Commercial Management.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen. Springfield woman accused of shocking a deputy with a stun gun during an eviction. The Greene County deputies were attempting to enter to help a property manager evict Alexandra Hunt on Tuesday, according to the charging documents. Hunt shocked one deputy and kicked another. A Springfield woman is facing felony assault charges after she allegedly shocked a Greene County deputy with a stun gun and kicked another in the chest. Alexandra Nicole Hunt, 35, is charged with 2 counts of the Class D felony third-degree assault with special victims. According to the probable cause statement, the two deputies came to a residence in Greene County around 10 a.m. Tuesday, March 10th, for an eviction. The deputies, along with the rental manager, gained access to the property to evict Hunt and one of the deputies noticed a stun gun next to Hunt, who was sitting on a couch. The deputy told Hunt not to go for the stun gun, but Hunt allegedly grabbed it and charged it, preparing the stun gun to shock. According to the statement, the deputy wrestled with Hunt and attempted to remove it from her hand. While the two were wrestling, Hunt allegedly shocked the deputy's left palm. Hunt allegedly kicked another deputy who was trying to put her in handcuffs, causing him to fall on the couch. The deputies were eventually able to gain control and put Hunt into restraints. She was then transported to the Greene County Jail. She is held in the Greene County Jail on a $10,000 bond. As of Wednesday afternoon, she did not have an attorney listed as representing her. Jackie Rewald is a reporter at the Springfield Daily Citizen. She covers public safety, the courts, homelessness, and domestic violence and other social issues. Her office line is 417-837-3659.
And we have some live updates from Day 4 at the CUSA tournament. LA Tech, Missouri State, SHSU, and KSU. Nick Coppola with the USA Today Network and Springfield News-Leader says that the semifinals of the 2026 Conference USA Tournament will be played today, Friday, March 13th in Huntsville, Alabama. 4 teams remain for the conference's NCAA tournament bid. Number 4 seed Louisiana Tech takes on number 9 seed Missouri State at 11:30 a.m. Central Time in the first semifinal. That's here in about 20 minutes. The Bears are on a run so far with wins over number 8 seed Florida International and number 1 seed Liberty in the first round and quarterfinals respectively, and will seek to win their 3rd game in 5 days. The Bulldogs defeated number 5 seed Middle Tennessee 80-69 in their quarterfinal game on Thursday, March 12th, using a 39-25 halftime advantage to aid them in the second half. A.J. Bates led the way for LA Tech with a fantastic 29 points, and the reigning CUSA Player of the Week added 6 rebounds and 3 assists as well. 2 other Bulldogs tallied double figures in points, with DJ Dudley going for 16 and Avery Thomas putting up 15. Thomas also led LA Tech with 9 rebounds. Number 2 seed Sam Houston and number 6 seed Kennesaw State square off in the other semifinal at 2 p.m. Central Time. The Bearcats are the highest seed remaining in the tournament and defeated number 10 seed New Mexico State 69-61 on Wednesday, March 11th to reach the semifinals. The Owls defeated number 3 seed Western Kentucky 96-87 on Thursday in the quarterfinal on the back of a 50.8% shooting clip. KSU had a field day offensively and scored the most points in a CUSA tournament game since UAB defeated MTSU 102-98 in triple overtime during the semifinal of the 2022 edition. 5 Owls registered double-digit points, with Trace Simpson scoring the most at 26 on 8 for 13 shooting. Franquan Sherman scored 19 points. R.J. Johnson added 18 points. Braden Liu recorded 16 points, and Amir Taylor put up 11 points. Sherman's 10 rebounds gave him a double-double in the game. CUSA is guaranteed to have a first-time tournament champion, as none of the 4 teams remaining have won it yet. LA Tech has come the closest, losing in the 2014 and 2022 championship games. You can follow along for live updates from every game on the Springfield News-Leader. We have live updates from Louisiana Tech versus Missouri State beginning at 11:30 a.m. Central Time on CBS Sports Network, and live updates from Sam Houston versus Kennesaw State that begins at 2 p.m. Central on CBS Sports Network.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, plan to replace income tax with expanded sales tax clears the Missouri House. The constitutional amendment would allow sales tax on any goods or services purchased in Missouri. The top income tax rate would fall as new revenue arrives, with income tax elimination targeted for the year 2032. By Rudy Keller, Missouri Independent. The proposed constitutional amendment asking Missourians if they want to replace the income tax by adding a sales tax to services and other transactions moved one step closer to the ballot Thursday when it passed the State House on almost a pure party line vote. If it passes the Senate and is approved by voters, the measure would give lawmakers 3 years to decide which currently untaxed goods and services would lose their exemption to generate the money needed to replace the revenue from income taxes. The top income tax rate would decline by 0.01 percentage point for every $20 million in general revenue in excess of the $13.43 billion collected in the year that ended June 30th. The bill passed the House on a 98-54 vote on the last day before lawmakers take a week-long spring break. Only one Democrat, State Representative Marlene Terry of St. Louis, supported it, and only 4 Republicans, State Representatives Mazzie Christensen of Bethany, Brenda Shields of St. Joseph, Greg Sharp of Ewing, and Rudy Viette of Wardsville, opposed it. The proposal now moves to the Senate, where Republican leaders have proclaimed it a top priority, and Democratic leaders said Thursday they have strong misgivings. Governor Mike Kehoe pledged during his 2024 campaign to eliminate the income tax, and he entered the 2026 season with the amendment sitting atop his legislative agenda. If successful, the income tax would no longer be in place by the start of 2032. During the House debate, Democrats warned that Republicans were putting state services, including public schools, in danger of cuts if revenue replacement taxes do not produce the expected revenue. State Representative Yolanda Young, a Kansas City Democrat, said haircuts, salon visits, and plumber services are among the items likely to be taxed if the measure passes at the ballot box. If the income tax disappears, the burden will not disappear with it, Young said. The burden shifts to you. Democratic opposition is based on lies, said Representative Bishop Davidson, the Republican from Republic sponsoring the proposed constitutional amendment. The only thing it does is utilize growth to reduce the income tax over time, Davidson said. It gives the growth back to the people, and it also allows us to hasten the process. Missouri has an almost flat income tax, with the top rate of 4.7% imposed on taxable incomes greater than $9,436. There are two 0.1% point reductions already in state law when revenue grows by $200 million or more in a single fiscal year. Growth was below that level in the most recent fiscal year, and revenues are projected to decline in the current year. The next statutory reduction in income taxes is unlikely before January 1st of 2028. The proposal would give lawmakers broad authority to decide which transactions currently untaxed would be covered by an expanded sales tax. State Representative Mark Matheson, a Republican from O'Fallon, said he was uncertain about the measures when the session began, but now supports it. He warned that lawmakers will be under intense pressure if it passes as the General Assembly works on a sales tax bill. We are going to have special interests from all over the state knocking on our doors, Matheson said. Missouri currently imposes a 3% sales tax for general revenue, plus 1.225% earmarked for particular programs. Local option sales tax are added to the 4.225% of total, and there are more than 50 locations in the state where total sales tax is 11% or higher. Each 1% of the general revenue sales tax generates about $1.1 billion. To replace the money raised from the income tax could add 8% or more to the current rate. To generate enough revenue to replace the income tax without increasing sales tax rates would require finding more than $300 billion of transactions currently untaxed, Matheson said. If we send this to the voters, we are asking the voters to trust us, he said. The measure allows lawmakers to tax any goods or services sold in the state and puts money in the General Revenue Fund. It exempts any sales tax applied to gasoline from current constitutional provisions sending revenue from fuel taxes to the state road fund. At a news conference Thursday, House Speaker John Patterson, a Lee's Summit Republican, said that while the measure would allow a sales tax on gas, it is politically off limits. I can't think of anything less popular back home than imposing another tax on gas, especially with the way gas prices are going now, Patterson said. I just cannot see that happening. Patterson calls the measure a modernization of Missouri's tax system. The state income tax was first imposed in 1917, and the sales tax on tangible goods was put in place in the 1930s. Along with the requirement that fuel taxes pay for roads, the measure would also exempt a new sales tax base from constitutional provisions that puts goods and services not currently taxed off limits to lawmakers. It's a modernization, Patterson said. It's not just an increase in sales taxes. Opponents are raising fears because they don't want to change, he said. When you try to do something really transformative, it's not easy, Patterson said. There are so many opposing forces, and just the inertia factor alone, it's just much easier to say, let's just do what we've been doing and hope for different results. Republican leaders in the state Senate said at a news conference that they welcome the House passage. Their plan had been to wait for the House to act before moving on tax legislation, said Senate Majority Leader Tony Luetkemeyer, a Parkville Republican. He said he hopes to find a compromise Democrats can accept, he said. We look forward to negotiating with them in the second half of the session, Luke DeMeyer said. Making big changes in tax structure is troubling as Missouri is facing a financial cliff, said Senate Minority Leader Doug Beck, a Democrat from Afton. The budget for the coming year would use most of the available surplus in the General Revenue Fund. Future budgets, to be in balance, would have to be cut by more than $1 billion, or lawmakers would have to find that amount to maintain services. We believe that we have to have the revenue to take care of those things, Beck said, while at the same time, we believe it's important that working families have real relief. Missouri Independent is part of States Newsroom, a network of news bureaus supported by grants, and a coalition of donors is a 501c3 public charity. Missouri Independent maintains editorial independence. Contact editor Jason Hancock for questions. info@missouriindependent.com.
And several food-related holidays today. We have National Chicken Noodle Soup Day, National Coconut Torte Day, National Ginger Ale Day, and National Riesling Day. If you needed an excuse to sample a good glass of wine tonight, that might be it. And speaking of food, Tessa Cooper with 417 Magazine talks to us about Springfield food news this week with Table Talk. First, chatting food news at Think Summit. Think Summit is just around the corner on April 24th, which means it's time to snag those tickets if you haven't already. If you aren't familiar with this Biz 417 event, it's pretty much a full day of TED-style talks from some of our region's most inspiring leaders. This year, I'll be moderating a panel featuring major players in the local food and beverage industry who are reimagining legacy spaces for next-generation uses. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but they'll be chatting about the heart and the strategy behind these concepts. Here's a quick lineup of who will be on the panel. First, we have Brad Furbacher from Brown Derby. Brad and his wife Jen are third-generation co-owners of this business. They are currently leading an extensive remodel of Brown Derby Wine Center and Derby Deli and are inviting in Nature's Wonders, a natural grocer founded in Harrison, Arkansas, as a co-tenant and collaborative partner. Steve Belden with Plaza Towers. Steve is overseeing all the food, beverage, and entertainment concepts at the revamped Plaza Towers. This includes the Sunshine Event Center, the Daily Blend, and coming very soon, Scratch & Co. They've also got plans for a sports bar and comedy club in the works. Sherry Perkins and Renee Texter from The Table. These sisters have brought life back to the corner of National and Chestnut Expressway by building a stunning 4,600 square foot restaurant attached to a historic flour mill. Tyler Hellweg with the Holler Music Hall. By day, he's a principal architect at Archifex Studios, where he has worked on projects like the repurposing of the former Boyd Elementary into Boyd Lofts, which will soon also be home to a Third Kingdom coffee location. The Holler Music Hall is his latest personal project that he's working on alongside his business partner, Philip Baird. Together, they are taking a Route 66 era garage and transforming it into a concert venue hall that will accommodate more than 2,000 guests. You can also celebrate St. Paddy's Day the tasty way. St. Patrick's Day also marks the end of winter hibernation mode, and this year 417 Land seems extra ready for it. Here's a quick roundup of a few local food and beverage joints, mainly breweries, naturally, offering special events and deals in celebration. Holdfast Brewing is turning the taps green and serving up a special orange Jameson Spritz for their St. Patrick's Day bash. Reps from Tullamore DEW will also be in attendance, so we hope that means some tastings are in order. Wire Road Brewing is releasing a new red beer and serving up Rubens by Boss Hogs, which you can enjoy while listening to live bagpipe music by Southwest Missouri Pipes and Drums. This Saturday, 4x4 Brewing is hosting festivities at both locations with all-day celebrations and green apple slushies. Come hungry to the Fremont Hills location, where food trucks will serve up Irish-themed eats and other delights. 14 Mill Market is also offering an early celebration this Saturday with an all-day bash. Weisner Bar is offering plenty of specials, and there's live music and fun activities for the kiddos. We have an Alpha-Gal-friendly dinner experience at Ozark Mill. Farm-to-bridge dinners are back at Ozark Mill Restaurant at Fimley Farms. The first of the season takes place on March 28th and features a 6-course Alpha-Gal-friendly menu full of flavor. While the offerings won't contain any mammal products, still come expecting filling courses like seared scallops and miso marinated chicken. The menu features a soft launch of some spring ingredients for your palate, like a tomato carpaccio with cucumber ceviche, basil, sunflower seeds, and a pomegranate balsamic drizzle. Tickets cost $125 and often sell out fast. And itty bitty news bites. Good news, the wine and spirits offerings have returned to the temporary Brown Derby Wine Center and Marketplace location at 3253 East Chestnut Expressway in Springfield. We sure miss shopping those shelves. La Rue Bistro just added outdoor seating. Sounds like the recipe for a perfect spring date if you ask me. And finally, Camp Flea Antique Mall at 900 West Elm in Ozark now sells St. Michael's Restaurant and Catering's famous banana cake.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, new Buffalo Wild Wings Go restaurant opens in Ozark with more locations possible. A new Ozark Buffalo Wild Wings Go restaurant opened for service March 10th, General Manager Connor Cook said. It is located at 1479 West South Street next to Raku Hibachi Sushi and Ramen. The Go concept focuses on takeout and delivery. Visitors should expect sports bar fare, wings, chicken tenders, appetizers, and sides, minus the alcohol. At around 1,100 square feet, the Ozark location includes 3 tables and 6 chairs for guests who prefer to dine in. Customers also have the option to call in or order online. Buffalo Wild Wings began developing Go restaurants focused on fast and convenient takeout service during the COVID-19 pandemic. At that time, the company realized that a lot of the sports bars would be going to takeout, Cook said. The scaled-down restaurant concept saw continued success even after other businesses resumed dine-in service, with Buffalo Wild Wings' new compact storefronts reaching many clients through services like DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub. Cook said there are now about 200 Go restaurants nationwide. According to Buffalo Wild Wings' website, the Ozark location is one of 2 Go locations in Missouri. Cook previously worked at the other location in Lebanon and stated that it's franchised by the same company, Missouri Wings, Inc. The franchise hopes to expand with at least 2 more Buffalo Wild Wings Go restaurants around the Springfield area. Story by Zoe McIntyre. We are broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store, the world's first retail store to use NaviLens to help navigate and inform blind and visually impaired individuals while shopping with little to no assistance. For information, visit our website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com.
And the Missouri House bill would extend the child abuse lawsuit deadline. Steph Quinn with the Missouri Independent and Springfield News-Leader bring us the story that says the Missouri House on Wednesday, March 11th, voted to advance a bill that would extend the statute of limitations for survivors of childhood sexual abuse to file civil action. The bill, sponsored by Republican State Representative Brian Seitz of Branson, would also decrease the statute of limitations for personal injury lawsuits and civil claims against insurance companies for uninsured or underinsured motorists. Survivors of childhood sexual abuse currently have only 10 years after they turn 21 to file suit, which advocates argue isn't enough time because it can take decades for people to understand that they were abused. Seitz's bill would give them until they turn 41. With no change in those limits since 2004, and powerful lobbies that used to oppose this bill now in support, Seitz said, "We will do what we can at this time." The perfect fix, he said, is no statute of limitations for victims of sexual abuse. The House passed the bill 95-12, with 39 lawmakers voting present. It now heads to the Senate for consideration. Seitz's legislation last year extending the childhood sexual abuse statute of limitations was added as an amendment to a bill reducing the window for filing personal injury lawsuits, sponsored by Republican State Representative Matthew Overcast of Ava. A spokesperson for the Missouri Insurance Coalition told The Independent at the time that the amendment was added to assuage concerns about unintentional effects of the tort reform bill on the childhood statute of limitations. This year, Seitz introduced the legislation as a standalone bill, and tort reform elements similar to Overcast's 2025 bill were added in the House Commerce Committee. Sites' bill would not change the current 5-year statute of limitations for survivors to take civil action against institutions that facilitated their abuse, such as summer camps or boarding schools. Missouri is one of 18 states that sets the statute of limitations under 35, according to Child USA, and dozens of states have passed reforms on the statute of limitations for survivors in recent years. A Senate committee passed a separate bill last month, sponsored by Republican State Senator Brad Hudson of Cape Fear, that would eliminate the statute of limitations for childhood sexual abuse survivors. It has not yet come up for debate in the full Senate. This is the 4th year in a row that an effort by sites to extend the statute of limitations for childhood sexual assault has advanced. The bill was partly inspired by survivors of abuse at the Christian sports camp, Kanakuk Camps near Branson. In the previous 3 years, these efforts have fallen victim to concerns from insurance lobbyists that it would expose them to older claims that are costly and difficult to defend against. Sites described the bill as the culmination of, quote, years of bipartisan work. During House debate this week, Republican State Representative Bryant Wolfen of St. Genevieve asked why the tort provisions were added. It seems like we might have log-rolled this issue onto your bill, which was fantastic, to potentially try to get something that might be a little more controversial along the line, Wolfen said. Democratic State Representative Will Jobe of Independence said that victims in personal injury cases often have to wait for criminal charges against defendants to be resolved before filing civil actions. Since the statute of limitations for most felonies is 3 years, Jobe said, victims could be left with little or no time to seek redress. We're attaching this wonderful and absolutely needed bill to something that is really going to hurt people, Jobe said. Before Wednesday's vote, sites said the rights of survivors of childhood sexual abuse, quote, always was and remains the primary portion of the bill. In addition to abolishing the statute of limitations for survivors, the Senate bill, sponsored by Hudson, would add language that survivors can sue institutions that played a role in their abuse at any time. By assigning an arbitrary statute of limitations for childhood sexual abuse, we are siding with abusers and perpetrators over survivors and making Missouri a sanctuary state for pedophiles, Hudson said during a committee hearing last month. Kayla Ondra, a St. Louis-based attorney who leads her firm's sexual abuse department, told The Independent that most survivors don't come forward until decades after they're abused, often because they didn't realize they had been abused. Usually you have a client that was diagnosed with something, they're receiving those mental health treatments, and they start to realize, what I'm experiencing now isn't just a random break in my mental health, Ondra said. It's layered from the abuse I experienced as a child. Ondra said the legislation lawmakers are considering will help strengthen survivors' voice and help them find closure. When you're sexually assaulted, especially as a child, you might not have a physical injury that you can see then and there at that moment, she said, but it doesn't mean that an injury did not occur.
From OzarksFirst.com, NICSA to install a roundabout for safer, smoother traffic flow. A long-discussed plan to rework one of NICSA's busier intersections is moving closer to construction, with MoDOT preparing to begin a roundabout project this spring at Route CC, North Main Street, and West Cedar Street. Construction is set to start in April. The Missouri Department of Transportation says the project is designed to improve safety and traffic flow at an intersection that sees about 8,300 vehicles a day and often backs up during peak travel times. The work also includes storm sewer installation and pedestrian improvements, and it will tie the city of Nixa Main Street project. MoDOT hosted a public meeting Thursday evening at the Nixa Police Department training room to walk drivers through the project, expected detours, and how the work will affect daily travel routes during construction. The agency said intersection closures will be in place during the project with a signed detour route using Route 160, Route 14, and Route 65. Access to businesses will remain open, according to MoDOT. There are certain times of the day that it's very difficult to get through this intersection, MoDOT resident engineer Jason Everdeen said. I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised after the roundabout's installed. The traffic flow will improve. According to MoDOT, the project expected to continue into fall of 2027. The department's project page lists the estimated cost at $6.1 million, while a February news release listed the estimate at $5.75 million. KCI Construction of Springfield is the contractor. The Missouri State Lady Bears hold off Middle Tennessee to advance to the Conference USA semifinals. 82 miles south of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, where Middle Tennessee downed Missouri State in a regular season finale 5 days earlier, the Lady Bears exacted revenge in a more consequential setting. 6th-seeded Missouri State held off number 3 seed Blue Raiders 69-66 on Thursday in the Conference USA tournament at Probst Arena in Huntsville, Alabama, and advanced to the semifinal round. The Lady Bears, who are 20-12, will face number 2 seed FIU 21-10 on Friday at 8 p.m. on ESPN+. Missouri State swept the regular season series, including a 69-38 MSU win over the Panthers in Springfield. MSU, which won 2 out of 3 matchups against the tradition-rich MTSU this season, never trailed on Thursday but left the door open late in the fourth quarter after shooting a chilly 6 for 15 from the free throw line. MTSU 16-15 sharpshooter Elena Contreras hit a pair of threes in the final minutes to twice cut Missouri State's lead to 3, but the Lady Bears came up with a pair of timely steals to thwart the Blue Raiders' push for overtime. A hard-fought battle. We knew it was going to be a grinded-out game. We obviously split in the regular season, and just having played them so recently, I think I had a sting from the last game, and our kids were really excited to be able to turn around and play and get a chance to run it back against them again, MSU coach Beth Cunningham said. Just thrilled for our kids. Certainly didn't play perfect, but I just thought the toughness of our kids just really stood out in a lot of key moments for us, so really happy for them. Junior guard and Republic graduate K.M. Beckemeyer led a balanced MSU effort with 15 points and 11 rebounds. Freshman Kendall Bruggen scored 8 of her 14 points in the fourth quarter, including a traditional 3-point play in crunch time to make it a 2-possession ballgame. Senior guard Faith Lee scored 10 of her 14 points in the first half of 7 of 11 shooting, and freshman forward Maisha Washington had 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. With Macy James in foul trouble most of the contest, freshman Janala Bush played much of the game at point guard, totaling 5 assists to go with 3 steals and 8 points. James hit 4 fouls in just 5 minutes of play, came up with a key steal in the final minute by stripping Contreras to help prevent a tie. Missouri State led by 10 in the fourth quarter and by as much as 14 in the first half, just under a week after falling 86-66 to MTSU in its home venue. MTSU held to 5 of 26 from three-point range, was led by Contreras with 24 points, and forward Blair Bogus with 19 points. With the win, Missouri State clinched its 9th consecutive 20-win season.
And are you looking for something to do? We see what's happening this week in Springfield, Missouri with new contributor Taryn Shore McKee with 417 Magazine. We'll hear a little bit more about her later, but she says, what a fun week to jump in as 2 fun seasonal things collide, St. Patrick's Day and spring break. That means plenty of festive events around town, from parades and live music to themed pop-up bars and even a ghost hunt. Of course, spring break can spark a little wanderlust. If you're tempted to trade routine for a quick getaway, their March feature highlights destinations you can fly direct from Springfield and Northwest Arkansas. So, beginning March 12th through 15th, we have mermaids at Wonders of Wildlife, located at the Wonders of Wildlife National Museum and Aquarium. Mermaids splashing back into Wonders of Wildlife for a limited time this month. Watch them glide through the Great Barrier Reef exhibit, meet one in person during the scheduled mermaid meet and greet photo ops, and enjoy themed crafts, learning stations, and story times. General admission includes all experiences, and additional dates will be available March 18th through 22nd and March 27th through 29th. Tonight, March 13th, Candlelight, a tribute to Taylor Swift at Stone Chapel at Drury University. Listizo String Quartet takes on some of Taylor Swift's most popular songs, like Anti-Hero, Shake It Off, Cruel Summer, and more, in a unique, intimate setting filled with glowy candlelight. March 13th through the 14th and the 17th, we have the Tipsy Leprechaun Pop-Up at Cassidy Station at Estes Farms. If you just can't get enough green, push your luck at this immersive leprechaun-themed pop-up bar. Enjoy live music, pasties from the London Calling food truck, and festive cocktails like shamrock martinis and Irish car bombs. Additional dates include March 20th and 21st. From March 13th through the 29th, see Sweeney Todd at the Landers Theater. Springfield Little Theater brings Stephen Sondheim's dark musical masterpiece to the stage with Sweeney Todd. Set on London's infamous Fleet Street, the story follows a vengeful barber and his delightfully devious accomplice, Mrs. Lovett. Their twisted partnership unfolds with razor-sharp wit, haunting melodies, and questionable meat pies. March 14th, we have the St. Patrick's Day Parade in downtown Springfield. The 43rd Annual St. Patty's Day Parade kicks off at 2 p.m. from South Avenue and Elm Street, winding towards Park Central Square and ending at North Jefferson Avenue. Celebrate all afternoon with food vendors and Finn's Beer Garden at Finnegan's Wake, open from noon to 6 p.m. Also, March 14th, we have Cozy Con at the Farmers Market of the Ozarks. This one sounds like a lot of fun. Bid adieu to winter by donning your coziest PJs and heading to Farmers Market of the Ozarks. The $15 admission, $3 off for attendees in pajamas, includes a muffin tin and special engraved spoon for sampling soup from both longtime and pop-up vendors. Also, March 14th, we have Ghosts of the Pythian Castle at Pythian Castle. Join Paranormal Task Force X, or PTFX, for an overnight ghost hunt at the notoriously haunted Pythian Castle, if you dare. The 8-hour experience, 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. for ages 12 and up, includes a walking tour, pizza, and hands-on instruction of professional paranormal equipment. Finally, on March 14th, we have the Shiitake Social at Finley Farms. You can join Finley Farms head farmer Brandon Sinclair for a hands-on lesson on growing your own mushrooms using logs and simple tools. During the class, you'll inoculate logs with shiitake mushroom spawn, which you can then take home to grow your own tasty shrooms. Make sure you book now, spots fill up fast. And finally, we have March 17th, St. Patty's Irish Table Cooking Experience at Pickwick and Cherry. Honor the holiday by cooking up a hearty Irish feast. The class starts with soda bread and potato and leek soup, followed by braised cabbage, shepherd's pie, and Guinness chocolate cake. Bring an Irish beer or whiskey so you can properly say sláinte. Choose from 2 class times, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m.
From the Springfield Business Journal, City seeks feedback to update trash and recycling codes. By Karen Crago. The City of Springfield held its first public input session yesterday as officials prepare to update the portion of City Code dealing with trash and recycling services. Chapter 94 is the solid waste section of the code, and it covers disposal facility policies, rules for haulers, acceptance of waste from outside the city, and all aspects of waste storage and disposal. Key goals of the Chapter 94 code review are enhanced clarity and consistency according to the website of the city's Environmental Services Department. The department reports that more than 40% of materials sent to the city's Noble Hill sanitary landfill could be recycled and that landfill use is on the rise. At the same time, the website states, residents are calling for improved recycling access and bulky item collection, as well as cleaner neighborhoods overall. The department is looking to improve the following areas of trash and recycling services: more consistent residential collection hours, requiring minimum levels of trash and recycling services for city residents, clarifying communication between haulers and residents, simplifying permitting for haulers, working towards standardized equipment and vehicles, improving waste management and system efficiency. Proposed changes are expected to be presented to Springfield City Council in late 2026. Last night's event, held from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Greene County Election Center Training Room, was the first of 3 public input sessions scheduled, with other drop-in sessions slated for 6 to 8 p.m. on March 16th at the Schweitzer Brentwood Branch Library and March 24th at the Springfield Greene County Botanical Center. At the first session, community members browsed stand-up displays asking them to weigh in on issues like the noise generated by waste pickup and the hours of operation of haulers. Peppered through the display were data points like the fact that in fiscal 2024, there were 93 illegal dumping sites within city limits. The landfill's average daily tonnage is on the rise, according to data presented. In 2013, 650 tons per day was the average, but in 2024, that figure nearly doubled to 1,311 tons. It's an impact that could be lessened by increased recycling, and sticky notes were provided for participants to offer their thoughts. Many of the responses demonstrated concern about affordability, with notes like, "More curbside recycling, but most people can't afford it," or "Not sure how it would impact my trash bill." Another response, "I would love to see curbside recycling at no additional expense." Many neighboring communities provided bundled services for trash and recycling at a single set price, according to another display. For example, Nixa offers weekly trash and biweekly recycling collection and allows one bulky item per week at a cost of $14.95 per month, while Ozarks offers both weekly trash and recycling collection at $20.04 per month. In Battlefield, $15.80 per month gets residents weekly trash and recycling collection, and in Stratford, the same services are $16.35 per month with reduced prices for elderly, according to the Environmental Services Department figures. Expense was reported to be the main barrier to recycling, cited by 34% of respondents to a department survey. Other barriers reported were awareness of availability at 18%, disbelief that the material is actually being recycled 16%, lack of convenience 9%, not caring 4%, and a range of other factors including lack of availability of services in apartment buildings, use of drop-off sites, no service offered by haulers, and challenging bin types. The city has considered removing the recycling requirement from individual haulers and instead exploring alternative options, among them a citywide contract for curbside recycling, according to the exhibit. Ashley Krug, the city's market development coordinator, said most of the large section of code devoted to solid waste has not been updated since about 1980. We know that our code is not operating in the same way that our haulers actually operate and do business, and we want to make sure that we are aligning things like complaints we receive with the ability to address that in code, she said. Krug said her office received a slight decrease in complaints about illegal dumping in 2025, although some sites are still observed around the city, particularly on properties where evictions have occurred. Availability of trash service may be a factor, she said. One of the questions that we're asking is just about quality of service, and one of them is actually saying, should we require every household in our community to actually have trash service, because our code currently doesn't actually require it, she said. Krug said residents who have curbside recycling are more apt to be recyclers. Some people don't want to drive it, and some people can't drive it to a recycling site, she said. Participants are also being asked if they want additional services like disposal options for bulky items, food waste, or yard waste, and if they want the code to increase or decrease its current requirement that haulers offer recycling pickup bi-weekly. Opinions on preferences for recycling containers are also sought. Krug said the department has also met with waste haulers for feedback to guide the revision. She said 8 or 9 of the city's 15 to 17 haulers participated. It's really important when we ask any of these things to go to the haulers who are impacted more than anybody. The haulers are the right people to consult about issues with the permitting process or about requirements for standardized equipment, she said. We'll take all of that information and use it to direct what those red lines are going to look like for Chapter 94, Krug said, referring to draft code revisions. Krug said the conversation is also partly about raising awareness among city residents because city code does not apply only to haulers. This is conversation of just how our system works and how we can make it work better for all of us.
And I mentioned earlier that 417 Magazine has a new contributor. Taryn Shore McKee. Let's take a look and meet her. Presented by Cox Health and 417 Magazine. I'm thrilled to introduce Little Locals. I'm Taryn Shore McKee. I'm a working mom raising 2 kiddos, ages 9 and 11, with most weeks looking something like this. Running from one activity to the next, eating dinner in the car at least a couple nights a week, surviving on caffeine and protein shakes more often than I care to admit, and constantly trying to turn our small pockets of free time into real family moments. If that sounds at all familiar, you're exactly who we had in mind while putting this newsletter together. Welcome home. My family moved here 2 years ago from Arizona, seeking something we couldn't quite pinpoint, but that quickly became one of our favorite things about Southwest Missouri: Midwest nice. The Ozarks, along with the 417 Magazine team, has been an incredible example of the community we hope to find. Genuinely friendly, welcoming, and solidly centered around families. People here wave, hold doors open, invite you in, and make newcomers feel like a longtime part of the neighborhood pretty quickly. Being asked to step into this role, writing articles and a newsletter focused on Springfield area families is the perfect fit because I'm exploring and discovering all of these things alongside you. The timing couldn't be better. Spring is starting to show up in earnest, giving us longer, warmer days and a lot more reasons to get outside with the kids. Parks and trails start filling up again, more seasonal events pop up, and families are looking for ways to shake off winter and get moving. To help you make the most of the season, I recently rounded up tons of fun local things to do with kids this spring, from easy outdoor adventures to wildlife encounters, plus spring break camps, rock climbing, free movies, and quick escapes if you want to get away, but not that far away. That's really the heart of what Little Locals will be each time it lands in your inbox. A helpful local guide to family events, activities, and resources around the Ozark. Think of it as one less thing you have to search for when you're planning a weekend, school break, or rainy afternoon. I'm glad you're here and I can't wait to explore with you. Feel free to email me story ideas, your family's favorite places, or remember, we're still newish here, or anything else I should check out.
From the Springfield Business Journal, AM Pyrotechnics files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. A fireworks company based in Buffalo has filed for bankruptcy for the second time since 2014. AM Pyrotechnics LLC, owned by Aaron Mayfield, filed a voluntary Chapter 11 petition on February 27th with the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Western District of Missouri. According to the petition, the company also filed for Chapter 11 protection in July of 2014. Founded in 1997, according to past Springfield Business Journal reporting, AM Pyrotechnics is based in Buffalo and considered a major North American seller of fireworks and choreographer of fireworks displays. The company made headlines in July of 2018 and in November of 2025. In each instance, the AM Pyrotechnics employee died, according to multiple news accounts. In 2018, a nighttime warehouse explosion caused the death of an employee. In 2025, another employee died in a fire the morning of November 26th. The 45-page February 27th bankruptcy filing by AM Pyrotechnics states the company has debts of more than $1 million owed to fewer than 50 creditors. When asked for comment this morning, Mayfield sent a written statement to SBJ. AM Pyrotechnics recently filed for Chapter 11 protection as part of a structured reorganization process, Mayfield wrote. The company has operated for nearly 3 decades, and the filing allows us to address certain financial matters while evaluating strategic options for the future of the business. Because this is an active legal process before the court, I'm not in a position to comment on specific creditors, claims, or circumstances referenced in the filing. Our focus right now is on working through the reorganization process in an orderly and responsible manner. A summary of AM Pyrotechnics assets included in the February 27th bankruptcy filing lists approximately $1.4 million in personal and real properties, including over 178 acres of land, much of which is used as loan collateral. A summary of liabilities by the company included in the bankruptcy petition lists roughly $939,000 in debts owed. Among them, roughly $103,000 is owed to Arkansas-based Dominator Fireworks, classed as a disputed pre-2014 debt owed to the company, which on its website describes itself as one of China's fastest growing fireworks brands. Other debts include some $115,000 owed to the IRS for 941 liabilities. In other words, quarterly tax return obligations including withholdings for income, Social Security, and Medicare taxes. Additionally, the company owes roughly $5,000 to the Missouri Department of Labor for unemployment tax. The court filing shows. Per the voluntary petition, other debts include a myriad of business loans and trade vendors, including $55,000, owed to Mayfield Brothers Fireworks based in Pleasant Hope. A creditors' meeting for the bankruptcy process is scheduled for by phone April 7th, federal court records show.
And the SPS Counseling Director has been chosen for national recognition. Joe Hadsall with the Springfield Daily Citizen says that a California-based university that emphasizes counseling techniques and behavior management strategies has chosen a Springfield Counseling Director for a national honor. Allison Roffers, Director of Counseling Services for Springfield Public Schools, was named a Belonging Champion by Harmony Academy at National University. She is one of 30 chosen by the Academy for the honor. Roffers was featured during a virtual event on March 11th the Academy calls Buddy Update. The event invites educators from across the country to share strategies for improving attendance, student engagement, and teacher retention, all subjects that SPS has emphasized over the last few years. My role is to shine lights on the amazing work that school counselors are doing every day in our buildings, Roffers said. For me, that's the first thing that gets me excited about receiving this recognition. We get to highlight what the school counselors are doing with the students to help build belonging in community and increase positive behavior in schools. The award winners were chosen based on the Academy's experts, according to a press release. Harmony Academy offers a number of resources school counselors can use for developing life skills. According to its webpage, its curriculum has helped 35 million students in all 50 states, as well as 88 countries. It puts an emphasis on helping students feel like they belong at school. That sense of belonging helps attendance and academic performance, according to a press release. Roffer said that she has utilized Harmony resources, many of which are free, as the district has transformed itself over the last 3 years. SPS has implemented new discipline strategies according to a positive behavioral integrations and supports structure in response to rising concerns about student behavior. A feature of the district's system now involves how behavior expectations are largely the same between each school. This means counselors are teaching the same lessons across the district for consistency's sake. Counselors visit each classroom at least twice a month, teaching students lessons, Roffers said. Roffers was chosen for the award partly because of that district-wide alignment, according to the press release. The district has also worked on increasing its attendance rate and academic performance, two areas that have also improved over the last 3 years. That progress has earned awards from other agencies. In December, the district was named in the District of Distinction list from the District Administration for improvement in its attendance rate. In February, principals Joanna Brockwell, Erica Homan, and Kristen Glenn were named as distinguished principals by the Missouri Association of Elementary School Principals.
From the Springfield Daily Citizen, James River Church to send home groceries with students at 4 SGF and 4 Joplin schools. The James River Church Serve team is visiting local public schools March the 12th to provide groceries and essential supplies to families in need. The church announced the outreach in a press release Thursday morning. The food will be sent home with school children before they are dismissed for spring break. Students at these 4 Springfield elementary schools will receive bags of groceries during regular dismissal: Watkins Elementary, Bowerman Elementary, Williams Elementary, and Weaver Elementary. In addition to students at 4 schools in Joplin will have grocery bags for students who need them at McKinley Elementary, Dover Hill Elementary, Irving Elementary, and Jefferson Elementary. James River Church is the largest church in the Ozarks with a weekly attendance of approximately 11,500 worshipers. The church is non-denominational. The main church is in Ozark, with additional campuses in West Springfield and North Springfield and Joplin. Steve Pokin writes for Pokin Around, the Answer Man columns for the Springfield Daily Citizen. He also writes about criminal justice issues, and he can be reached at spokin@sgfcitizen.org. His office line is is 417-837-3661.
At 82, Ozarks chef Roland Parney still rolls dough before most people wake up. Juliana Goodwin with the Springfield Daily Citizen says that growing up in France, Roland Parney wanted to be a doctor. It didn't happen because my family didn't have enough money, so my father sent me to cooking school, said the chef, his apron speckled with flour and his hands crusted with white residue. Working from a tiny commercial kitchen in Mansfield, Parney had 3 piles of dough in front of him, hand-rolling them on a stainless steel island. Each pile weighed about 24 pounds, and he was using a long rolling pin and the weight of his body to work it. It was 10 a.m. on a Sunday, and the 82-year-old had already put in 6 hours. While the culinary arts may not have been his passion when he started at 16, by the time he graduated, it was and remains a lifelong love. Parney has worked around the world from the Paris Opera House, Cape Town, South Africa, Seattle, Texas, and even a private billionaire island in the Bahamas. In the Ozarks, the beloved chef is known for his Café La Galette Berrichonne in Fordland, which he owned for 12 years. He closed it 4 years ago because he was in his late 70s and needed a double knee replacement. Standing all day had become grueling. But less than 2 years after his successful surgery, Parney says he felt 20 years younger. He got antsy, which he always does, and started baking again. Here's the truth, he doesn't have an off switch, said his wife Elaine. Do you know how many times he has told me he's going to retire? I can't count them. He's the poster boy for a workaholic. When asked how many days a week he works, the octogenarian smiles, says, yes. Yes, as in all the days. 7, he said, and then chuckled. Customers ask me to work, so I do. A native of the Berry region of France, he moved to the U.S. in 1975 for a job and worked around the country. Parney and Elaine met by chance in Little Rock. He was working for Mississippi State at the time and took the weekend to visit Arkansas. Elaine and her mother were living together in Nixa and decided to visit the river market in Little Rock. They ran into each other at the market. Her mom lost her glasses. Parney found them. Her mom invited him to lunch, and the trio spent the day exploring Arkansas, visiting museums. He was good with my mom, and I thought anyone who could be nice like that with your mom must be a good person, said Elaine. So they kept in touch. He'd sent Elaine and her son tickets to football games. She'd invite him to visit her. At that time, he worked 15-hour days, and even when she visited, they barely saw each other, but they stayed in contact. At Mississippi State, he ran special events catering for people like the president. He also taught classes, and his workload continued to rise. One day, he came to visit Elaine and proposed. They married in 2005. After they married, she followed him to Mississippi. There, they started leading culinary tours to France. Customers were curious and wanted to learn where I'm from, Parney said. They've led about 8 tours over the years, showing tourists what real French food is like and its incredible diversity. After he retired from Mississippi State, they moved to the Ozarks because they each have 3 children, so they picked the area with the highest concentration of children and grandchildren. They have a Seymour address, but live closer to Sparta and Ava. After he retired from Mississippi State, Parney was bored, so he went to work in Springfield, teaching at Victory Trade School. I like to teach, he said. I teach for a long, long time. Despite enjoying the job, the commute was 2 hours round trip each day, so he eventually left the school to start his own place. He opened La Galette Berrichonne in 2009, initially planning to have a cooking school. It turned into a cafe. The cafe was a huge success immediately, Elaine said. Our customer base grew fast. The first 12 years we owned the cafe, we never spent a dime on advertising. We didn't have to. Our customers did it for us. A few years after opening, he decided to add gourmet 7-course dinners. The dinners sold out as soon as he announced them, and it was hard to get a table. They had a huge client base from Springfield, but others drove up from Arkansas, Highlandville, Willow Springs. Some customers would drive hours and buy a month's worth of food to freeze and come back the following month. Parney said this was some of the most fulfilling work he's ever done because he had so much interaction with customers. They wanted to talk to him. They wanted to take pictures with him. Many of them became his friends. I never had this communication with people. This was unique. It was a fantastic experience, he said. When you cook for others, you don't always get to see them appreciate it, but he was able to with the Fordland restaurant. His other favorite job was working in the Bahamas on a private island, a club for billionaires. He had access to incredible food and ingredients, but Parney said the people he met were nothing like what he expected. I had such a good time with them, nothing like the picture I had before. I would sit down and have a glass of wine with them. They were not smart, they were brilliant, he said. Most were friendly. One client said he refused to leave the island without a croissant from Parney. Another thing Parney is proud of is that he published a cookbook, A Taste of the Berry, with some of his famous recipes. His culinary career is peppered with so many different experiences. Right now, he rents a commercial kitchen and bakes pastries for Empire Coffee in Rogersville and the Little Farm Association in Mansfield. Elaine helps with deliveries. Aside from that work, they occasionally offer cooking classes, including in Arkansas. He takes on catering gigs. They collaborate with Castle Vineyards and other places to cater special occasions or pop-up dinners. Elaine would like him to scale back on work, but she says he never says no. She doesn't update their website or even post anything about what they're doing, but they still have so much demand. We have a following and people find us, she said. Despite being 82, he averages 7 to 8 hours work every day. Sometimes he puts in 12, but doesn't like to. I cannot work like I used to, he said. But he's not ready to put down the rolling pin anytime soon. Life is life, Parney said, shrugging. At 20, I had more energy, but I didn't have the experience. I know things now I didn't know 15 years ago. You learn every day. If you're missing his pastries, Empire Coffee inside Vicky's Gift Bar in Rogersville carries his pastries. The Little Farm Association also sells frozen meals and ham croissants from him. Castle Vineyards pairs up with him a few times a year for special wine dinners.
From the Springfield Business Journal, building permit shows tenant coming to former Gordman's and Radio Shack building. A new to Springfield gym is slated to open on the south side in a long vacant property on South Campbell Avenue, according to local building permits. The building permits, which are on file with the City of Springfield, indicate Crunch Fitness is coming to 3303 South Campbell Avenue. The currently vacant building previously housed Gordman's and Radio Shack and is located adjacent to a Walmart store. Walmart owns the property housing its store and the vacant building, according to Greene County Assessor records, and the company recently opened a fuel station along Campbell Avenue. Elmsford, New York-based Crunch Fitness has more than 400 locations, according to its website. The membership gym focuses on strength and cardio. According to the website, the Springfield gym would be the first in Southwest Missouri and 7th in the state. Crunch Fitness officials cannot be reached for comment by deadline. According to the city building permits, Crunch Fitness is leasing 43,115 square feet in the building, with the remainder on the west side to be demolished. A listing for the property posted by Pace Properties states the building spans 84,252 square feet on nearly 7 acres. Gordman's relocated to 1425 East Battlefield Road in spring of 2019 after operating in the South Campbell Avenue space. Gordman's closed its Springfield store in 2020, according to the Springfield Business Journal archives.
And the Springfield music community mourns performer Rick Thomas of Big Smith and Little Jones. Zoe McIntyre with Springfield Daily Citizen says that the Springfield music community is mourning Rick Thomas, a singer and string musician who played in the bands Big Smith and Little Jones. He was known for his strong voice, harmonies, and joyful presence. Thomas died Wednesday, March 11th at the age of 59. He just embodied that Ozarks spirit, that love, that tradition and musicality, said musician Molly Healy. She began playing with Big Smith 20 years ago, describing Thomas as one of the nicest, most fun individuals that I'd ever met. Big Smith describes itself as a family band, including 3 sets of brothers who are all first cousins. The family members and some of their songs were featured in the 2005 documentary, Homemade Hillbilly Jam. In recent years, Thomas and other members of Big Smith began playing in Little Jones. The Shoe Tree Listening Room most recently hosted Little Jones in December 2025. What a fabulous band. I think it's probably the hottest band in town right now, said David Baker, Shoe Tree Listening Room co-owner. Baker said Little Jones has established a passionate community of fans in the music scene, playing at Tie and Timber Beer Company and other venues. I think Rick is one of the reasons they were so popular, Baker said, adding that the singer was always smiling.
Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and 417 Magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio.